apparently.
A fucking terrible movie. It gave me such a headache watching it both times. It just gave me the biggest headache possible. Well, I think you know my opinions on it, Patrick. If there's any scenes you want to talk about, we can go for it. But I'm also curious to know of exactly what you thought.
All right, well, how about that scene where Godzilla flips the bridge? That was awesome.
That was a great scene, yeah.
And, yeah, okay, so now this movie. I mean, even in your incredibly cynical description of the movie, you did acknowledge
incredibly cynical.
No, justifiably cynical.
Yeah, darn right.
You acknowledged a few kind of moments of entertainment, and I think, for me, it comes down to the Godfather sequence. If the rest of the movie had that kind of energy, this would be pretty good. Or, again, not a good movie, but more entertaining than it is. Mm-hmm. The opening is a bit of a drag, even though it's some fun moments here and there. The movie gets heavy into exposition/sex in the middle. Not sexposition. This isn't Game of Thrones. The exposition and the sex come separately. I actually think if they had combined the two, the movie would be paced a bit better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean, and I totally agree.
So I don't know. I don't really have any scenes I want to go through that much because I don't want to talk about this movie that much. But it's. I'm gonna say this is It's probably not actually the worst movie we've seen for the podcast. I think it's technically better than Killer Workout. However, it is less entertaining than Killer Workout. This is the least fun movie we've had.
Exactly. I think it's probably technically better, and I think the acting is a little better than Killer Workout. But
I mean, I don't know. Yeah. As for the acting, okay. So you've got your two Playboy playmates.
Yeah.
They're, like, in theory, they're kind of the stars. They're not really. It's Aibileen is more the main character. But the two of them, I'm sorry, Donna Spear, Hope Marie Carlton, they're terrible. They are so bad. No one else is nearly as bad as them. Most people are semi-competent, at least. Pantera's all right. Pantera's pretty good. But those two are just so, like, even the scene, like, their first scene is they're waking up in their nightgowns, and then one of them showers, but, like, the scene
hey,
where
look,
they're...
it's a plane.
Yeah, that scene is so bad.
It's so
they're like,
terrible.
oh, it looks like one of those planes that we fly, just a smaller version. And I'm like,
Isn't it cute?
God.
Wait, why is it around our boat?
Yeah, and I mean, like, come on, like, again, I don't know how many actors this movie has in common with Hard Ticket to Hawaii, because it's been a while since I've seen that, or even Malibu Express. I know they're a common thread, and it's like they didn't get better from Hard Ticket to Hawaii, like, because I get it, they're not really actresses, they're models, like, I get that, but, like, you gotta learn from some experience at some point, right?
Well, exactly, yeah, and I mean, like, I agree with you, they're pretty shitty actresses. However, Hope Marie Carlton has the best fucking joke in the whole movie. And
what one was that? You mentioned that earlier, but
dude, it made me listen. I was having a beer the first time watching this, and I spit my beer out all over my laptop. It made me laugh so hard, and it shouldn't have made me laugh that hard. But it's after their boat explodes and they get like a ride into town. They hop on that sugarcane train, which also great name, and then they get off at the station, and there's like these cute surfer dudes. Donna's like, hey, Taryn, I think one of them's looking at you. And she's like, yeah, he's cute. Is that a snorkel in his pocket, or is he happy to see me? It cuts to the guy, and he pulls a snorkel out of his pocket, and Donna goes, it's actually a snorkel in his pocket. And she goes, yeah, I'm just having a really bad day.
I gotcha.
I laughed so hard. I spit my beer out, literally.
And another thing I would like to point out, again, this movie, it's an action movie. I would by no means say this movie takes itself seriously. Mm-hmm. Like, we can agree on that. But this movie isn't really, the action is tongue-in-cheek, but it could have really benefited from some more tongue-in-cheek humor, like some more moments like that if this were more of an action comedy, because really just the comedy that you have is there's some unintentional comedy here and there, but it's really just, it's the Swede-Danish joke, and it's just like a couple moments like that, and it's like...
Yeah, and Maybelline tries to make like some sex jokes, but they're not funny.
Yeah, there's a few, yeah.
Like that Mile High Club part, and she's like,
yeah,
well, we're
the
almost
7
miles
mile,
up. And he goes, well, I guess we got to do it 7 times. And I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah, no, they can, yeah. I think this movie could have benefited from kind of a more tongue-in-cheek sense of humor. Again, it is a tongue-in-cheek movie when it comes to the action, because it's just things blowing up. I mean, bazooka shooting from a helicopter, like, yeah, I mean, that's not going to be in a serious movie, but
no,
I don't know.
You know what, though? Like, there were some great action scenes. Like, I thought the boat chase scene was, like, there was a fun scene.
Yeah, it's not as fun as it could have been, but it was good.
Exactly. that one was probably one that stood out for me the most. But then that whole Godfather, what'd you call it? That whole Godfather thing?
The Godfather sequence.
Yeah. The Godfather sequence. I really liked that. All the nudity in it made me a little uncomfortable. Not because I was like, oh, poor actresses, but it was just like, it was nudity. Like, if I was a 16-year-old, I'd be like, oh, wow, boobs, wow. But I'm like, I'm 26, and I'm like, they don't need to be there in this scene. Put them away.
Well, here's the thing. This movie, I don't want to say it's made for 16-year-olds. I think it largely is. I think it's made for, again, this is like a direct-to-video movie, right? So it's made for... I mean, it's selling you on the poster. It's poster, guy with a gun, women with cleavage, basically, is the poster. Yeah. I'm just assuming. I haven't looked up the poster, but
the poster looks great, by the way. I've looked up the poster.
Oh, yeah, the posters to the other Andy Sidaris movies I've seen are great. So, but anyways, like, I think this movie is for teenage boys and also fans of action movies that are just kind of unashamed. You know, like, like someone who just, like, I don't know, you have some modern movies like this. Like, I never saw Drive Angry, but I understand that was just like a incredibly dumb but incredibly enjoyable action movie that's just like not trying to be serious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think maybe this is kind of the direct-to-video late 80s version of that kind of tone.
Yeah.
And I think, it's the 80s. It's, Playboy was a big deal. Like, throw those women in there, and like, that is kind of an additional selling point. And I will say, I saw a tweet recently. I don't think it was like one of those like viral tweets. I think it was just tweeted by someone that I knew or something. But they said something like, boy, like, people growing up now will never really understand how big Playboy was in the 80s and 90s. Like, how big and important it was.
Yeah.
I think that's true. Like, just with the internet, like, no one cares. But, like, I mentioned this to you. I was, like, watching the movie Naked Souls from 1996 starring Pamela Anderson. That movie has the appearance of a direct-to-video movie, and at least according to Wikipedia, it made, like, $58 million. And it's like, was that really just the power of Pamela Anderson? Probably.
Yeah.
And thus, by extension, the power of Playboy. And it's like, there was, like, in the 80s and 90s, like, that was a way bigger deal than, like, people our age can really understand.
No, I totally agree. And I mean, this is kind of like, again, I mean, it's not the late 90s, but this feels like the final throes of like a big, explosive, kind of goofy, semi-sexy action movie. You know what I mean? Like, this is like a movie that's trying to, I guess, be like one of those big budget movies, but it just fails in pretty much every way. You can tell what it's going for.
Yeah.
It has the Playboy in there for the star power. But
but I won't say it fails in every way. I think this movie delivers on the explosions, if nothing else.
Oh, absolutely.
For a cheap movie, for what I'm sure was a cheap movie, the explosions are pretty great. It does give you that. I love how when Clay Matthews and Paul get in their car, they have some line about how the agency gave them like a
shit car,
shitty car. But like the second you see that car, you're like, bam, that's blowing up. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's because it's just like a car from the 70s or something like that. It's just beaten up. So there's things like that are like low budget staples, but the explosions themselves are like worthy of a bigger budget, a bigger budgeted movie.
As an action movie, I don't think it fails. I think it fails as a good action movie. I mean,
what? What the hell does that mean?
I mean, like, it's not a good movie. But it's got lots of explosions and gunfights and things where people are riding around on dirt bikes and stuff or chasing each other on boats.
It gives you the bare minimum, maybe even a little bit more than the bare minimum of what you expect from an action movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
The glue to stick all these pieces together, all these explosive gadgets, the explosive harpoon gun, the explosive boomerang, the bazooka from the helicopter, like the glue to put all those things together is just not there,
Yeah. It's kind of a shame because, again, I was really looking forward because after you told me that this was an Andy Sidaris movie, I was really looking forward to it because I know that reputation that he has.
Yeah, this isn't his best effort, at least that I've seen. And apparently I've seen this entire trilogy, and I think those are the only 3 movies I've seen by him. I've accidentally watched this trilogy. I mean, I didn't know there were sequels. I thought just all of his movies were Playboy Playmates as FBI agents, and maybe other ones that aren't sequels are,
Well, maybe he didn't expect to write them as sequels, but then he was like, I could make this into a trilogy,
But this is very clearly a sequel, yeah. I mean,